Right, you're still watching Breakfast Central on News Central with Oluchi and Olisa. Now let's take you to Germany, this time away from the continent, but how it affects the continent. Now the German economists and industry groups have expressed quite to say relief that Europe's biggest economy probably avoided a leftist government in their own terms after the Social Democrats narrowly won Sunday's election, but the far left's weak results ruled it as a potential partner. Now, a centrist three-way alliance looks most likely in Germany to take over from Angela Merkel, who's had 16 years as Chancellor of the country and did not stand in Sunday's vote.
Now, both the Social Democrat, that's the SPF, and Merkel's conservative bloc say they want to lead government, and both have identified the Greens and the pro-business Free Democrats, that's the FDP, as preferred partners. Now we have global affairs analyst Collins Wenke joining us this morning to discuss more in terms of the outcome of this historic election. Welcome to the program, Collins. Now tell us why this election was so tight and what was responsible for the poor performance of Angela Merkel's party.
Thank you. Thank you very good morning to you, and thank you for having me. There is not just one issue here at play. I believe there is a cocktail of issues that actually culminated in the poor showing of the party of Angela Merkel, the outgoing Chancellor of Germany. For a start, they lost favor. The party lost favor with the electorate. Now, I want to underline the word party there because Angela Merkel herself, as an individual politician, remains a very, very popular figure, not just in Germany, but in the entire European Union. But like you rightly pointed out, she wasn't on the ballot. And so what we are seeing is the impact of just one individual who is, a pragmatic, very effective and efficient politician, not being on the ballot, and the impact it could have on the party. So that is the personality aspect of, the election and their result. Now, there is also the issue of, conservatism in Germany being under very serious stress. Now, conservatism, which is the political ideology of Angela Merkel's party, is actually pretty popular amongst, the older population, those that came of age during the Second World War, including, Angela Merkel herself and the generation before her. Now, that is not to say that there aren't young conservatives, but the overwhelming majority are older people. Now, a poll that was, conducted, an analysis that was conducted just after the election to try to get a deeper understanding into why they fell from 32% to about 24%, actually turned out to deliver the result that 7% of the conservative voters between 2017, when the last election was held, and 2021, about 7% of them had passed on, they had died. So what that meant essentially is that 7% of the voters were lost through natural causes, which is death. Whereas on the left political spectrum, those that won the election, it turned out that young people are actually joining the left progressive, political ideology in more, larger numbers than the conservatives. So that also explains to some degree why the left, that is the progressive, made a gain and why the conservatives lost. There are other domestic issues, of course, at play. But those are the two main ones. Of course, in addition to the fact that the Socialist Party that made the biggest gain, compared to the Conservative, was also part of the outgoing coalition. So any good thing that came out of the last government for example, the management of the COVID-19 response and all of that, they could, take credit for that as well and say, well, you see what we also helped to accomplish in government. So that is the political communication aspect of, of the entire business. So that's a bit of, an analysis of the state of play.
Yes, because we were watching the proceedings on Sunday while the elections were going off. Those of us in Africa saying, okay, what would it be now for Europe's biggest lender? Now we saw that the SPD and the current finance minister, Olaf Scholz, he's even hopeful that everything will be settled by December. So when are we going to have a good new government in Germany? That is the big question. But let's listen to this one first of all. All right, so Olaf Scholz speaking there. Collins, I need to bring you on to this one before we let you go. We know that the likes of the SPD, Angela Merkel's CDU, and now the Free Democrats, as they call them, are looking to have this kind of three-way tripartite parties to form a government by December. What do you think that would mean for the African continent, whoever takes over? Are we looking at a centrist left or a socialist right, if you may?
A centrist left is more likely. In your summation, you appear to have left out the Greens because, as a matter of fact, on the aggregate, the Greens made the largest gains in this election. Now, of course, there could be concern within Germany and, of course, the larger European Union that, a coalition in Germany that involves the Green Party might put some of, their policies, some of the plans that they have in some sort of jeopardy because they are perceived, the Greens, as sometimes being on the extreme, left of the political spectrum. But that's on that. Now, as far as Africa is concerned, a centrum-left coalition, I believe, will augur well for Africa because, especially one that includes the Free Democrats. Why? Because Free Democrats actually buy into the current agenda of business rather than aids to Africa. So they want to see more investment, more business transactions rather than aids, which hasn't quite augured well for Africa. And that is also an agenda that, the Greens support very, very seriously. It is part of their DNA. And the socialists, of course, being what they are, actually support those agenda very seriously. So yes, I believe that they would, such a coalition, a central-left coalition, will build on the gains that Angela Merkel had made over the last 16 years in terms of engagement with Africa. Don't forget that, she convened, quite frequently African leaders to talk business and to talk investment. So I can only see a continuation of, such initiative with a centrum-left political formation.
All right. Well, the continent of Africa awaits to see who next perhaps will lead Germany back in December. But looks like we'll be missing Angela Merkel after all. 16 years at the helm. Well, good luck to her. And thank you so much, political analyst Collins Weke, for coming once again on Breakfast Central, for giving us the latest as it pertains to that election we saw on Sunday in Berlin and what it means for Africa going forward and relations with Germany.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Have a great day.